Hello, my name is Brandon Harp and I'm the superintendent of Seymour Community Schools. This year we have 23 staff members retiring from Seymour Schools. Collectively, they have over 570 years of service to the children of Seymour. Many of them were gracious enough to spend a few minutes with me and share some of their story. I hope you enjoy this year's retirement video. These staff members have impacted many children over the years and will be missed. Just like I tell graduates of Seymour High School every spring, you will always be an owl. Congratulations and job well done.
Hey Dennis, happy retirement. The day has finally come for you. Appreciate everything you've done for our school, for the middle school especially. You're going to be missed. We got a lot of furniture and stuff waiting for you to be moved this summer. I know you always had a strong back for us. We're going to miss that. Enjoy your grandkids. Enjoy the camping. I know you've always talked about some big things that you'd like to do in the camping world. Enjoy the national parks. Jumping off the high dive. I haven't seen that happen, but I'm sure you have in the past, and they're probably waiting for the big wave to hit. We'll see you around, and you'll sorely be missed. Thank you again.
It is my honor to recognize the retirement of Mrs. Janet Duggins. Janet has worked for Seymour Schools for 12 years. During this time, she served working in the Emerson Cafeteria and After School Kids Club program, and then transitioned to be the first ever full-time special education administrative assistant. Janet has been a hidden gem on our special team, working behind the scenes to ensure testing, services, and compliance with all things related to special education law are in place for thousands of students. Janet has processed yearly state reports that have resulted in over an estimated $29 million of funding for Seymour Schools. While Janet says the decision to retire hasn't been easy, she looks forward to spending time with her husband Jim and her family and grandkids as she has recently relocated to Florida. Congratulations, Janet, and we wish you the best.
Good evening. You know, I've had the privilege to be able to work and serve alongside an incredible officer that's given his life to the service of his community and now to that of its most precious commodity, its children. And that officer is Officer Jack Hauer. When I first met Jack's physical presence is going to be one of those things that immediately catches your eye. He's an incredibly tall guy, and for a short little fella like myself, it's incredibly noticeable. But what I quickly learned is just how gentle of a man that he is and how much of a caring soul that he has. He's just one of those officers that he has truly embraced the idea of to protect and serve. And so please join me in wishing Officer Jack Hauer a fantastic and fulfilling retirement as he begins the next stage in his life. So thank you, Jack.
Next up tonight is Miss Luann Havener. Luann started driving a bus for us back in 1995. She is what I would call a no news is good news driver. By that, she would handle problems directly with the school and the parents and would not stop by the garage unless she really had a problem. And if she did stop by the garage, there was a problem to be dealt with. Anyway, welcome Luann Havener.
One of our retirees at Emerson this year is Kim Mellencamp. She's been with Seymour Schools for over 20 years. I've worked with her here at Emerson over 10 years, and she has just been a delight to work with. She's one of those kind of people who just silently gets things done, and not only gets them done, gets it done well. I mean, to the detail that in the restroom up here in the office, when she takes care of the bathrooms, She folds the little toilet paper like I'm in a high-end hotel does. That is just a small example, but it really does show the kind of heart that Kim has. She's going to be sorely missed here at Emerson, and she's definitely going to be in the heart of the Emerson tribe for years to come. Kim, we hope that you really enjoy your retirement, and we love you.
Hi, my name is Lisa Hackman, and I'm a special education teacher at Seymour Middle School. I've had the pleasure and privilege of working with Mr. Paul Newland for many years. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank you, Paul, for all your service and at Seymour Middle School, and for your kindness and your patience in working with our students. We're really going to miss you, and I hope that you have a wonderful, fantastic retirement. Thanks, Paul.
Dawn Audie has been an employee with Seymour Schools for 22 years. She's spent the majority of those years as the ECA treasurer for the corporation. If you don't know what the ECA treasurer does, the ECA treasurer deals with a lot of money coming in from various places like lunch money, athletics. And that's how I really got to know Dawn, is when I was athletic director at Seymour High School. I work with Dawn quite a bit. And you know that we host these large tournaments with large sums of money coming in. And Dawn was always great and always did a great job getting me everything on time. And I always appreciated her partnership. And then the last few years as superintendent, I had the opportunity to work with Dawn directly every day at central office. And she was always just fun to be around and a pleasant person in the office. So Dawn, congratulations on your retirement, and thank you for all you've done.
Mr. John Audie. John started driving a bus for us back in 1991. Through the years, he's helped in building maintenance at the transportation department. He's drove a bus, worked as a mechanic, and ended up as shop foreman. John was very particular about everything, whether it be the cleanliness of the shop, the buses, the organization of parts, or just how to fix things. Our buses, our shop, our inspection records all shows the pride that he took in his job. He was always ready to jump in and help, no matter what time at night or on the weekends that I called to tell him we had a bus down. And most of the time, he would even beat me down here to the garage. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John Audie.
Hello, it is my honor today to recognize Mr. Denny Plummer on his retirement from Cortland Elementary School. Mr. Denny has served as head custodian for over 40 years at Cortland. The students and staff would like to thank Mr. Denny for all of his time and effort that he has put into our building each day to make it great. We hope you enjoy your retirement, Mr. Denny, and remember, once an eagle, always an eagle. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication. You will be greatly missed.
One of our retirees here at Emerson this year is Shirley Robertson. What a sweet Southern jewel she is. I loved her from the first time we met. I interviewed her, and she is from Searcy, Arkansas, which is the southern town that I went to school in, and I worked there for a while. And so when I go back to in the summers, and we just loved and hit it right off from the bat, talking about Searcy. And she has just been my southern soul sister the whole time she's been here. She's been with us just about 2 years, but what a blessing she has been to the students and staff here. She's going to be greatly missed, and she definitely has left an impression on all of our students and our hearts. We're going to miss you, Shirley, and we hope you enjoy your retirement.
This is Terry Schreier. Terry started driving a bus for us back in 2000. It takes a special person to drive a special needs route, and she definitely fit the bill. Caring for the kids and going out of her way to meet their needs while remaining calm in very stressful situations, And yes, we've seen quite a few of those. Miss Terry Schreier. Mr. Tom Snyder. Tom started driving a bus for us back in 1974. Back in, it was, here's the bus, the keys, the route. Got any questions? All right, you're hired. Go drive. Well, not quite like that, but pretty much. He was always straightforward. You knew exactly where he stood on any issue, some good, some bad. Tom also had a lot of great ideas. Some we still use today. Mr. Tom Snyder.
Good evening. It is my honor and privilege to recognize the retirement of Deborah Sons after 30 years of service to Seymour Community Schools in the Food Service Department. Debbie began her career at Seymour High School as a part-time cook in April of 1990. Jumping into our district's largest kitchen at the end of the school year could not have been an easy task, but Debbie never has been one to back down from a challenge. Looking back through comments from Debbie's supervisors over the years, I found that Debbie was consistently acknowledged as a hard worker and a team player, and that's exactly how I came to know her when I joined Seymour Community Schools. Debbie, thank you for your 30 years of service to the children of Seymour Community Schools. We wish you all the best.
Good evening. It is my honor to recognize Mr. Rodney Tatlock for his service to Seymour Community Schools. Rodney came to us last year as a part-time custodian at Jackson Elementary, and as soon as he walked in the doors, he brought a ton of just joy and happiness to our children. I think the part that he loved the most about his job as a part-time custodian was the time that he was able to interact with the students in the cafeteria. Before you knew it, students were calling him Mr. T or Papaw or Grandpa T. He had lots of nicknames because he just made quick connections and built relationships with our students from day one. There was nothing that you couldn't ask Rodney to do to help either our students or help keep our building where it needed to be to provide a safe learning environment for our students. Rodney's going to be missed here at Jackson. We hope that he's able to find happiness and comfort in his retirement, enjoy his time away with his family. We look forward to keeping in touch with RT, and please know, Rodney, if at any time you want to come back and interact with our students and say hi, you're welcome. Thank you for your service to Seymour Community Schools, and thank you for all that you have done for the children of our community.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to take a few minutes to congratulate and honor one of our recent retirees. Mrs. Denise Wright has been working for Seymour Community Schools for 12 years. She started working for schools and with children 17 years ago, and at that time she was leaving a professional career and a business ownership as a floral designer. As you can see, there are some parallels with those two occupations. One, you have to arrange things to make them fit together to be the best that they can, kind of like we do at school with our students and the resources and the staff members we have. And two, planting the seeds and helping nurture those plants to grow is something that came pretty natural to Mrs. Wright, and it translated very well into the students and the fostering care that she has given our kiddos. After all these years of service and after all this time, I know that she and her husband, Wynn, are looking forward to spending time traveling to Utah and Florida and Tennessee to visit children and grandchildren, something they've deserved and something they've earned. So without further ado, Mrs. Wright, we want to say thank you from the family, from the staff, and from the administration for your service to our kids and the great things you have done for them over the years. Please enjoy your time as you guys travel and get to spend as much quality time with your children and grandchildren as you deserve. Congratulations, Denise, and best of luck.
Good evening. My name is Justin Brown, and I'm the principal of Jackson Elementary here in Seymour Community Schools. It gives me great pleasure, and it's a true honor to recognize Mrs. Rosemary Albright for her service to Seymour Community Schools and wish her well in her retirement. As many of you know, Rosemary retired from Seymour Community Schools at the end of the first semester of this school year, after receiving the unfortunate news of her leukemia diagnosis in January of 2020. Mrs. Albright was a very passionate, caring, and loving teacher here at Jackson Elementary. I reached out to a few of her colleagues to get some comments on Rosemary, and here's what they said. One of her closest colleagues, Whitney Reinhardt, stated, "Her fiery spirit and generous heart make her someone that forever leaves an impression on those that have had a privilege of knowing her. She works hard at everything she does and loves those around her even harder." Another great impression that she has left on her friends and colleagues here at Jackson is in the way in which she treated her students. Amy Sparks, a special education teacher here at Jackson, said this: "I will always remember and have learned a lot from the way she talks to and interacts with students. Nothing was too small to celebrate, and she would bring any kid into my room to show off something they had just learned. Those kids absolutely loved her." When we received the news of Rosemary's diagnosis in January of 2020, we were devastated, but came together in support of her and her family. Rosemary's a person of very strong faith, and we hope that she has found comfort in knowing that she could count on her school family to pray for her and support her through this journey. You can walk into Jackson at any time and find many of our staff wearing these orange leukemia awareness ribbons in support of her and others that are fighting cancer. Rosemary's positive outlook on life and strength is truly amazing. Rosemary said, "Leukemia brings many uncertainties, but God's promises are for sure and guaranteed." Although we had hoped that we would be able to teach alongside Rosemary soon, her life has taken her on a new and more important journey. Spending time with her family, her husband Todd, and her daughters Madison and Macy, her son-in-law Connor, and also soon-to-be son-in-law Austin. Being a Grammy to her beautiful granddaughter Emma Jane, and focusing on her recovery is most important right now. We will continue to pray for a safe and healthy recovery, and will continue wearing these orange awareness ribbons with pride in support of Mrs. Albright and the many others fighting cancer. Mrs. Albright, thank you. Thank you for your service to Seymour Community Schools. Thank you for caring for, loving, and teaching the children of our community. Thank you for the difference that you have made in the lives of so many. You will forever be a Wildcat. Congratulations on your retirement.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sabrina Laspina, and I had the pleasure of teaching with Rosemary Albright for 10 years at Jackson Elementary. Unfortunately, Rosemary cannot be with us tonight to celebrate her retirement, but I know that if she could be here, she would have some words to share with us. Rosemary Albright taught at Jackson Elementary for 13 years. She spent 8 of those years teaching second grade, and she spent 5 years as an EL teacher. Mrs. Albright shared that her fondest memories were spent in room 316 teaching second grade. I especially enjoyed the years when my entire classroom was filled with EL students ranging from newcomers to nearly fluent English language learners. There were times when I had up to 5 different languages represented in our classroom, and I loved it. I have wonderful memories of helping the students acclimate to life in the United States and to school, and I really loved helping families and getting to know them and their culture. I was blessed with excellent mentors throughout my time at Jackson. I'm thankful for the leadership excellence of Justin Brown and Brandon Roberts. I consider myself very fortunate to have taught under the leadership of such supportive administrators. When I personally think of Rosemary's time at Jackson, what I will remember the most is what she meant to Jackson Elementary teachers and staff. For many of us, Rosemary was our go-to person. If we had a joy or celebration, Rosemary was one of the first people that we went to. If we had a bad day or needed some advice, many of us went to Rosemary. And most importantly, if we were suffering, whether from work or in our personal lives, Rosemary was oftentimes the first person there to offer her love, support, wisdom, and faith. I oftentimes always referred to Rosemary as Jackson's angel. Enjoy your retirement, Mrs. Albright. We love you.
Troy Hubbard has served as a counselor in Seymour Community Schools for many years. One of the first things that's evident about Troy is that he has a huge heart for kids. The task of dealing with middle schoolers in the areas of social and emotional learning takes incredible skill and dedication. In his time as a counselor, he has provided kids with guidance, comfort, and advice. This allowed him to change the course of many students' lives for the better. For years and years to come, these students will go on to lead successful lives by drawing on the strength and wisdom they received from the support Troy gave to them. What a legacy to leave. Thank you, Mr. Hubbard, for all you've done for our kids, and congratulations on your retirement.
I am here with Troy Hubbard today. Troy, it's kind of neat to be on the other end of this. You're usually interviewing me on podcasts, so it's kind of neat for me to interview you. But you have recently announced your retirement, and first of all, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Scary.
Yeah,
but, you know.
Certainly. How long have you been in education?
30 years.
And have all of those been with Seymour Schools?
No, 20 years have been with Seymour, 4 years in Kentucky, and then 6 years at East Washington, and then the rest here. So,
okay. And have you, for those 20 years in Seymour, have you been a counselor the whole time?
Yes, I have. I started off as a 6th grade counselor and then went to Jackson, Brown, Cortland, and then came back to the middle school in 2007.
So you've seen it from a lot of different angles, which is neat.
Yes, yep.
Have you thought, I know you just recently announced your retirement, but have you thought about retirement plans? What kind of things you'd like to do?
Well, I'm going to continue counseling, and I would like to continue, serving in some capacity, even through counseling or whatever, the Seymour. I'd like to continue doing that, Seymour, Jackson County. Going to continue with my radio work. Love doing that. That's a passion too. I did that before I got into teaching, but I want to continue counseling. It's kind of a passion. Once you have it in your heart, you're stuck with it. It's just something that you feel a need to do, to be driven to do.
What do you think you're going to miss most about Seymour Schools and a Seymour School counselor position?
Oh, definitely the kids, the students, and the parents, but mainly the students. I'm one of those people, the old people who think that if we can help somebody every day a little bit, it's going to make a big difference. Like that movie, What About Bob? Baby steps, making baby steps. So, and I will miss that very much. That smile when you've connected, or bringing that when you see a student suffering for one reason or another, bringing them up the best you can. I will definitely miss that. Definitely.
Okay. Last question. I am going to put you on the spot. Favorite Beatles song and why?
Oh my gosh. Right now, I would have to say Here Comes the Sun, due to its optimism and faith and hope for tomorrow and the joy it brings. But Mr. Harp, I do want to thank you for the opportunity to serve Jackson County and the students here. I'm going to try not to cry. It's just been an honor and a privilege, and I mean that wholeheartedly.
Okay, well, thank you for a job well done, and congratulations on announcing your retirement. Look forward to staying in touch, and let us know if there's anything we could do for you in the future.
Borrowing money, is that open?
Besides that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Hart. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The 6th grade center would also like to recognize Mrs. Gayla Kaiser, who is also going to be retiring after 35 years of teaching experience. 34 of which have been here with Seymour Community Schools. And though I have not worked with Mrs. Kaiser for a long amount of time, it did not take long for me to observe and to realize how much she cares for her students. Whether it be from making sure that students are taken care of academically or socially or even at home, Mrs. Kaiser shared her heart and soul with her students and the staff that she worked with. I wish her the very best in her retirement, and I want her to know how much she will be missed.
And I'm with Miss Gayla Kaiser, and she has announced her retirement this year. We're happy for her. Sad to see her go like the others, but we're always happy when teachers can take that next step in their career. So how long have you been in education?
35 years.
35 years. And have all of those been with Seymour?
All but one.
Okay. Where else have you been?
I was at East Washington Junior Senior High School for a year.
Okay. What do you think you're going to miss the most about teaching?
I actually enjoy the teaching aspect of teaching. I like working with kids. I like helping kids. I've always enjoyed that part of it. I will not miss the paperwork. You can ask Mrs. Albrand that. She'll laugh and say, yes, she understands. But yeah, and then my colleagues. I enjoy interacting with my colleagues because being an inclusive teacher, we go in and out of a lot of rooms, and I've always enjoyed that. So, yeah.
You know, I just looked at the retirement list, and we have over 570 years of experience retiring this year.
Goodness.
Yeah, so impossible to replace, you know, all that experience. So we're going to have a lot of new teachers coming in next year. What advice would you have for a new teacher, and maybe especially a special education teacher?
To be very patient with everybody, the students and everybody. Realize that they have issues themselves that they're going through on a daily basis, not just students, but staff members, and to always be very patient and kind and considerate. You get further with kindness than you do being grumpy. And I know I've had days when I've been grumpy, but you know, everybody has things they're going through. So try to remember that.
I couldn't agree more. Well, thank you for spending some time with me today, and thank you for the impact you've had on kids and the career you've had. And you said you'd never taught at the high school. If you change your mind about retirement, let us know. We'll see what we can do.
Well, I had a little stint at high school, but it just wasn't for me. But yeah, I do like the elementary and the middle school people. So, but anyway, but I thank you, and I thank you for the opportunity to teach in Jackson County. It's been great.
For almost 3 decades, Tom Lucas has served as a math teacher, an assistant athletic director, and as an assistant principal in the Seymour Community School Corporation. He made significant contributions in each of these roles that influenced our district and the schools he worked in. In addition, his desire to showcase the hard work and talents of our students will be remembered. He led our Merit League initiative that highlights the culmination of the hard work and achievements of our students. He also organized a yearly talent show that allowed students to showcase their talents and skills in ways they may not have had a chance to do before. These are moments students won't forget, and it's part of the legacy he leaves here at Seymour Middle School. Tom, thank you for your service to the district and for your dedication to improving the lives of kids. Congratulations on your retirement.
Obviously a longtime teacher and has filled several other roles for us. So Mr. Lucas, first of all, congratulations on your retirement. I know that's a big decision.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Harp.
Okay, so we'll just jump right into the interview here. How long have you been in education?
This is year 34.
34, and how many of those with Seymour Schools?
I believe it's 26.
Okay, long time. And we know you well as a math teacher because that's at the middle school. That's what you've done in your most recent years. But I know you, I've known you for a long time, and you've filled a lot of roles for the corporation, and some coaching and administrative and other things. Tell us about some of those other roles that you've filled over the years.
Well, I mean, going all the way back to the first teaching job, my wife and I took jobs in Covington, Indiana, home of the Beef House. If you've not eaten there, you should. It's really good food. But we were 2/3 of the math department, really small school. And then she wanted to get back into her hometown, which was Seymour. So back in 1990, we moved back here. And she was employed here at Seymour Community Schools, and I was employed at Jennings County High School, and then worked there for some years before I came over here, I believe in 95. And then I think around maybe 7 years in the classroom, and then transitioned into the assistant principal here, and then into an AD role here, and helped John T out a little bit at the high school, and then back into the classroom. So that's where I've been since that point.
Okay, and I know you've been important in the school. You've been a safety specialist. You run the Merit League. You set that program up. You've done the talent show in recent years. So thank you for all those things you've done for kids over the years. Thinking about new teachers who are entering the profession for the first time, what advice would you have for those new teachers?
Well, I mean, there's loads of advice, but what they need to do is just think about the teachers they had that probably influenced them. There's a reason why they went into education. And if you take the traits of those teachers, sort of like coaching, you know, you can coach for various people and you pick up things that fit into, you know, what your philosophies are. But I think looking back, it sounds silly, but, you know, in classes that I took, especially administrative courses, they always talked about taking care of yourself. I just haven't taken care of myself very well. And then as you get older, it requires a lot of stamina to do what we do. And it catches up with you. So maybe put that donut back down, fit in some exercise, you know, really talk to teachers that have been around the block a time or two. And most teachers want to help you become successful, and then, you know, take what you can use, and you got to be willing to take some criticism. And most times when people criticize you, they have great intent, so don't take it personally. And just every day when you get out of bed, I've always lived by that man in the mirror. As long as I can look myself in the mirror and know I did what I could, that's all we can ask.
That's great advice. Thank you for that.
Miss Ellen Meyer. And Miss Meyer is our band instructor here at the 6th Grade Center. And she, like Mr. Sam, has been in education for 38 years, 35 of which have been here at Seymour Community Schools. There's nothing like a 6th Grade Center in August when you're walking down the band hallway and you hear those excited 6th graders learning their new instrument. Again, there's no sound like it. However, Miss Meyer continues to amaze me on how she teaches her students and how much growth they show over the year. And if you've ever been to a band concert, you know how much work that Miss Meyer and her staff put in, and of course, how much work the students put in. And it's just such an amazing sound walking down that band hallway around Christmas time and around the springtime to hear that beautiful music. Like all of our other retirees, we will greatly miss Miss Meyer, and we know that she is going to be so happy in retirement, and we wish her the very best.
I'm here with Miss Ellen Meyer, who's been an employee with Seymour Schools for how long?
35 years.
35 years.
86.
86. Have you always been in Seymour Schools, or did you start anywhere else?
No, I taught for 3 years at Hamilton Southeastern, up in Fishers, back when it was a teeny tiny school of 600 kids. Of course, now that corporation has 6,000 high school kids. But back then it had 600. Yeah. But it was a real small school, and I taught just high school band, and then other things at the high school. But yeah, that's where I started my career. Left there in 86 to come down to Seymour because I wanted to teach middle school. And I knew Steve McGrew had a great reputation, and it was just a good fit for me to come down and do that. So that's what I did.
Yep, I had the pleasure of meeting Steve McGrew, and I taught with him a couple years at the high school. So
Oh, yeah.
I totally understand that. So, what kind of plans do you have for retirement?
Well, I'm actually going to sub a little bit, possibly. And I do a lot of animal rescue work, so I'm going to up that, do a lot more of that. And I'm going to work a little bit for Pages Music part-time. That's kind of a seasonal job, and helping out with their recruiting process. So that's pretty much, and then I'm planning on traveling and hopefully hiking and just working on my house and just doing whatever I want to do whenever I want.
You're going to be really busy in retirement. That's
I'm already really busy, so it's okay. It'll be great. Yeah, I plan to do a lot of relaxing too.
Well, I'm sure since you made the decision to retire, you've reflected a lot on your career. What do you think you're going to miss most about teaching?
Well, definitely the kids. That's the number one thing. Yeah, the kids are the whole reason that I've stayed in teaching this long, and that's what I'll really miss. And of course, I'll miss the faculty that I work with too. I've made a lot of good friends, you know, in the middle school here, and of course, a lot of the people that I started, most of the people who were here when I started are now retired. But you know, I'll miss the other faculty members too.
I'm sure you know that, you know, being in the fine arts program, we have one of the largest high school bands anywhere.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I believe that kids start off getting a good experience with you. What kind of things do you do to get kids interested in band and keep them interested in band?
Well, I think that honestly, you know, we want them to have fun, but we want them to learn. We want them to learn. And I really think that I don't take really any credit in getting them interested. I think that they see the high school band, and I think they really want to be a part of that. And they know that, you know, to get there, they've got to go through and learn the basics and do what we do here.
Right. And that makes sense. But I do think you deserve a lot of credit for keeping them interested. And we appreciate that. We're awfully proud of our band program from top to bottom. So thank you for the impact you've had on kids. You've done a great job, you know, for all these years with Seymour Schools.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm taking a few minutes today to honor one of our retirees, Mrs. Liz Schlatterer. After 48 years of serving the children and the community of Seymour Community Schools, Liz has decided to retire at the end of this school year. She is a true pioneer and started her career, as I said, 48 years ago in Seymour Community Schools at the Sunshine Building. After all these years of service and the many of students that she has impacted in such a positive way, it's time for Liz, by her own words, to take a break. Finally a break, right, Liz? So after all these years, Liz is going to spend some more time focusing on her family and her friends and getting to travel a little bit around to places that she's been interested in. Liz, we can't say thank you enough from the staff, from the students, and from this administrator. I really appreciate all that you've done for our kids. Have a great retirement and congratulations.
Good morning. I'm here with Ms. Liz Schlatterer, who has decided to retire this year, and she certainly will be missed, but has agreed to sit down and go through an interview with me. So how long have you been in education?
48 years.
48 years. And have all of those been with Seymour Schools?
Yes, that have.
And have you been at Brown Elementary the whole time, or have you moved around some?
The first 3 years I taught, I was part of Reading School, but housed in the Sunshine Building. Because I had the first class of severe and profound.
Yeah.
And then when Brown opened, they moved all special ed over here to Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved in with changed classes from severe and profound to mild.
Okay.
And then been here, except for one semester, I've been here the entire time, the rest of the time.
That's great. So looking ahead to retirement, what are you most looking forward to about retirement, or maybe what are your retirement plans?
Just probably keeping busy with family things and going to visit friends.
Okay, very good. On the other end of that, what are you going to miss the most about teaching?
The kids.
The kids. How many students do you have?
I have 31 on my caseload this year.
That's great. And you extrapolate that out over 48 years, and you've impacted a lot of kids over the years. Thank you very much. You've had 48 years. That's one of the longest careers of all these interviews I've done. You've impacted a lot of children, and we certainly thank you for your service to not only Seymour Schools, but all the children and the community as a whole.
Good evening. My name is Lori Ann Wessel. I'm the principal of the Seymour 6th Grade Center, and I've had the opportunity of working with Mr. Keith Stam ever since I joined the Seymour Middle School staff in 2014. I know that Keith has a long history of education in serving the students in the community of Seymour Community Schools for 38 years. And that is an accomplishment in itself, to be in education for that long and to be dedicated to one school corporation for the duration of that time. In my experience with Mr. Stam, I can remember him as a very professional person, a person who just enjoys all parts of the arts and who brings out the best in his students. I have been to many of his concerts, and I'm always impressed at the amount of growth that the students show, and also the amount of professionalism that they show as well. And all of that is attributed to Mr. Stam and his commitment to the art program. The 6th Grade Center will miss Mr. Stam next year and his experience, but we wish him the very best. Congratulations, Mr. Stam.
Okay, I'm here with Mr. Keith Stam, who, after a long career with Seymour Schools, has announced his retirement going into next year. Mr. Stam, how long have you been at Seymour Schools?
38 years. I started in 1983, and I've been here straight 38 years.
And so you've never been in another district. It's all been with Seymour?
All here.
That's outstanding. Well, what are your plans for retirement?
Well, my wife and I have 9 grandchildren, so I hope to spend some more time with them. We also have a farm, and we like to do the farming as well. I'll spend a little bit more time with that. And I've got some woodworking projects and some projects in the house. I've got lots of things on the list. We'll see how much I actually get done, but that's the gist of it.
And so obviously you are a choir director and have put on a lot of shows over the years. And do you anticipate any keeping that connection to music as you move into retirement?
Well, I plan on continuing singing at church. I took a year off because of COVID, but this fall I hope to get back into the choir again at church and maybe sing a solo or two there. Anything else? Unless my grandchildren or my children want my help, probably not.
What are maybe a couple of your most memorable shows over the years?
Well, let's see. Done so many. I was trying to think how many musicals I've done, just musicals. Each show or each musical, we would do 2 or 3 nights. So I'm well over 100 musicals. At the high school, one of my favorite ones was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. One of the things I really enjoyed about that was the music. The kids really got into it. It was a shorter musical. My favorite all-time musical is The Sound of Music. I got to do that at the high school. My first year at the high school, we did Camelot as my very first show, and The Wizard of Oz was the last show. Those were all memorable shows. At the middle school, we did musicals before we did the junior versions. We did Little Abner. That was a good one. Flapper was a lot of fun from the Roaring Twenties. Whistle Stop and Where is the Mayor? And our night out. I don't know. The favorite one that I do, I guess, is the one that I'm working on at the time.
Yeah.
The kids, once they get into it and they've learned, I mean, there's so much to a musical. And when I did a musical at the high school, I had an assistant director, and of course, Carla Shutters. I owe a lot of the success of those shows to those people. But at the middle school, it was just me in charge of the costumes. And if we had any instrumentalists, I directed them or recorded them or played in the pit. Sometimes we had pre-recorded accompaniments, which was really nice. In charge of costumes, acting. We had all those evening shows, evening practices. The show that I was working on, that was my favorite one.
That's a great answer. So shifting gears a little bit, what do you think you're going to miss the most about teaching?
I have really enjoyed the team that I'm on. Last 10 years, I've been back at the middle school, and the team that I'm on, they call themselves the Encore team. I think of them as the A team. We're number one. Encore to me means, you know, what's extra. And I've kind of thought that my entire career. Music is not extra. It's extracurricular when we put on shows, but what we teach is very important. The study of the brain, there's two hemispheres of the brain. We got the right brain and the left brain, and each part of the brain is responsible for certain functions. But I think it's the fine arts, the music, the drawing, the singing, the playing, the acting, the dancing, that and creating. That's what makes the two hemispheres work together, and it helps people to create things out of the box. And I've thought that my whole career. So, oh, you just teach singing. Well, no, I teach students music, and singing is the instrument that we use. But it's so important, and it's helped a lot of my students to become successful in life.
Lastly, anything you'd like to share with your colleagues or students or anyone else watching this video?
I wish my students well. I wish them success. I hope they all find what they're wanting in life and can strive for it and have the determination to see it through to the end. I'm going to miss my Encore teachers. We spend a lot of time together every Wednesday in professional development, and every Friday we have a meeting, and then I do get to see them occasionally in the hallway. They're a good group of people. I wish them well, and hope that their remaining careers are fruitful and prosperous, and that they finish enjoying what they're doing. It can be a fantastic career. My good days far outweigh my bad days, and I hope that theirs do too.
That's great stuff. Thank you for spending some time with me today, but also thank you for the impact you've had on thousands of kids over the years at several different levels, and we just appreciate everything you've done for Seymour Schools and the students.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tony Hack, the principal at Brown Elementary, and today I'd like to take a few minutes to say thank you and to honor one of our retirees this year. Mrs. Kathy Thurston has started her career 39 years ago serving the children in South Central Indiana. From locations like Crothersville and West Washington and Mitchell and Scottsburg, Kathy finally was able to join our district at Seymour Community Schools 23 years ago. She's worked here at Brown and had several different locations and different assignments, but all through that time she has spent so much time working for our kids and working for our families. I'd like to say thank you to Kathy's family. I know that her husband, her daughter, her son, and now her grandchildren have all shared her talents with us over the years. But that's all about to change because Mrs. Thurston has decided that it's time to retire. I know she looks forward to traveling and spending as much time as possible with her friends and with her family. I know that it means the world to her to have the grandchildren close and to have the flexibility to help out when she can. So Kathy, after all these years, we want to say thank you. From the families of Brown Elementary and Seymour Community Schools, we want to say thank you again for all the service that you have given these children. Congratulations and best of luck in your retirement.
I am here with Mrs. Kathy Thurston, who has announced her retirement after how many years with Seymour Schools?
23 with Seymour Schools.
And how many overall?
39 years altogether.
Wow, that's great. And so she's agreed to spend a few minutes with me here and talk about it. So 39 years in education. Where else have you been besides Seymour Schools?
Well, when I graduated from IU, we moved to Mitchell, Indiana, where my husband worked. So my first year was spent at West Washington. And then the next year I got hired in Mitchell, so no longer had to travel. And then I was at Crothersville for a few years, took a 2-year hiatus and started a preschool, helped them start a preschool at Scottsburg United Methodist Church. And then I came to Seymour.
Good deal. And have you always been at Brown?
I have always been at Brown. Yes. When I started here, I taught kindergarten for 1 year, and then I moved to 4th grade. And then I've been in 3rd grade for 15 years now.
Excellent. Well, as you've reflected back on your career, what do you think you're going to miss the most about teaching?
Oh, I am definitely going to miss all the kids. You know, just talking to them and being around them, watching them grow, you know, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, you know, the light bulbs coming on when, you know, they finally understand something. And I will definitely miss being around the kids all day. And I will miss the people that I work with, the adult conversations. And yeah, it's going to be a lot different.
You know, speaking of the people you work with, we have a lot of new teachers coming into the district and the profession overall. What advice would you have for those new teachers?
I think my biggest advice would be to always remain flexible. Sometimes lessons do not go as planned. Sometimes they, you know, might go really quickly, and sometimes what you think's going to take, you know, one math class or one reading class is going to take more time than that. And then sometimes unexpected things come up, you know, fire drills, tornado drills, and well, you know, we haven't had very many convocations, you know, this year especially, but, you know, sometimes those things pop up and you just need to be able to be flexible and kind of go with the flow.
Yeah, that's excellent advice and on a normal year. But with this past year, the way things have gone and all the unexpected twists and turns, I mean, it was crucial for all of us to be flexible.
Oh, absolutely.
Thinking about your students as they move forward onto the next grade and through their educational career, what advice do you have for them?
My advice to them would be to simply believe in themselves. You know, there's no such word as can't. You know, they can do anything that they put their mind to and anything that they try to do. And sometimes it might take a little bit more practice, but to definitely believe in themselves, and anybody can achieve what they would like to achieve.
Well, thank you very much for spending some time with me this morning, but also for the impact you've had on children for 39 years. That's outstanding, and we wish you all the best in retirement.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Mr. Harp.
Hello, everyone. Tonight we honor Robin Tormelin for all of her years of service to Seymour Community Schools. When I first moved to town here, it didn't take me very long to learn the name Tormelin was associated with math. And Mrs. Tormelin, she did not disappoint in her math instruction in her 15 years here for Seymour Community Schools. I can personally attest having 2 children that have had her where Mrs. Tormelin goes above and beyond by staying before school, after school, and working with students individually who need to get caught up on content. And I'm forever grateful for that.
Mrs. Tormelin, I've always enjoyed our conversations as you come in the building each day. We'll certainly miss those. And it's often we don't get a chance to hear the impact that we have on our former students. And it was great timing in the fact that we had a young lady reach out to us, Stephanie Kleber, who had shared that the impact that Mrs. Tormelin had on her had ultimately driven her to become a teacher herself. Just the information she shared, as she reflected, she was actually filling out a scholarship application, and during that process had the opportunity to reflect and think of the impact that Mrs. Tormellen had. So it's not often we get to hear those impacts, and I'm certainly appreciative of that young lady for sharing that impact, because there's many of those that we don't always know. But Mrs. Tormellen, we salute you on your retirement. We certainly hope that you enjoy it, and you will certainly be missed at Reading Elementary.
Thank you, Robin.
I am on with Mrs. Robin Tormellen, who has announced her retirement after several years with Seymour Schools, and we're certainly happy for her. We will miss her and all the impact she's had on kids. But Robin, how long have you been in education?
I've been teaching for 15 years. I'm finishing up my 15th year.
And have all of those been in Seymour?
All but one. One was in Columbus.
Okay, and I know you've taught in several different buildings in the corporation. What all buildings have you been in?
The first one was Emerson Elementary. I did mostly 5th grade there. I did a couple years of 1st grade. Then I went to the 6th grade center where I taught math, and then now I'm here at Reading. So
okay. So as you reflect back on your career, what do you think you're going to miss the most about teaching?
It will definitely be the people and the relationships. I've always liked that no 2 days are alike in teaching. And I've also enjoyed the challenge of helping kids find that path to learning that's right for them. So those are things I've enjoyed, but definitely the people, the students, the connection with the students, camaraderie with my colleagues, and just the sense of community that you get in your classroom. So I'll miss that. I feel good about what I've done, and I feel good about starting the next chapter. So thank you.
And you should. Yeah, you've left an impression on the schools, and thank you not only for spending a few minutes with me here today, but for the impact you've had on kids over the years, and all those extra things that you've done too, like the math program, math bowl, math counts, and those sort of things. Those will be long lasting for sure.